ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Theater Talk. I'm Jack Arneke, and with me are some of the cast members from the production of The King and I at Proctor's Theater. We have one of the largest audiences ever in the GE Theater for Theater Talk after the production, and something tells me they liked it. So why don't we ask you guys to introduce yourselves, what parts you play, and then we'll get it open to questions. Go right ahead.
Sure. Hi, my name is Stephanie Lowe, and I am the swing and assistant dance captain for the show. So I actually wasn't on tonight, but I'm just running around backstage making sure that everything's going smoothly.
Hi, I'm Elena Shadow. I play Anna Leon Owens.
My name is Kevin Pamichao, and I play Lunta.
Well, welcome. You came in an interesting week weather-wise because Monday we had late winter, Tuesday we had spring, and Wednesday we had summer. So it's kind of been that way. We have, by the way, some school groups here who've traveled quite a distance. We have, give me the name again.
Hi, guys.
Cambridge Central in Washington County. Arlington Central in Vermont.
Oh, wow.
And the one at a time. Monument Valley in Great Barrington, Massachusetts.
Welcome,
so
guys.
Folks have really traveled here. Those of you in the back, I have a little trouble seeing you because of the lights, so just flail your arms if you have a question, and let's open it to questions. Any questions you may have? Yes? When did you guys start acting? We'll just bing, bing, bing right down, or bing, bing, bing.
Okay.
Sure. I did community theater as a kid, and I grew up in Los Angeles, so did like commercials and had an agent as a kid. Quit when I was a teenager because I wanted to be a normal kid, and then decided my senior year to audition for acting schools, and then I got into a few, and that's how I started. Yeah.
Similar. I started out doing community theater. I was a very shy child, and so my mom put me in a theater class in 4th grade, and I was like mortified, and now here I am. So it worked.
I'm more of the dancing side, so I was dancing pretty intensely, and then after college, that's when I started doing musical theater, so it was like a late start for me.
Okay. Question? Yes. What's your favorite part?
Of the show?
Your
of
own?
Life.
I presume favorite
the
part of the
show?
show. Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's kind of weird. Do you guys remember when the wall goes up and all those people are standing there and there's a backlit? I think it's probably the most beautiful image in the show. Even at Lincoln Center when I saw it there, I was like, "Oh, that's really pretty." And for some reason, sometimes I'll actually stand in the wing, and I'm dead at this point. So, oh God, people who are watching the show, sorry, I spoiled that. Yeah, I stand in the wing and I watch that moment sometimes because it's just such a beautiful, beautiful image.
I think this is too hard for me to answer. My favorite part of the show is the show. I mean, I
Yes.
go through the whole show having to really love every single second of being on stage because that's my job. And I hope you know that when I was on stage today, I was giving 150% at every moment. So for me, and I don't mean to, sorry, Kevin. Not that everyone is. But for me, it's very difficult to choose a favorite part. My favorite part is the fact that I get to stand on that stage and do that. So to me, that's my favorite thing.
And I'm sure you ran around backstage with great ferocity.
She performs the show, too.
Yeah, I know she does, but I was talking about today.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I used to be in the show every day, and now I'm a swing, which means I'm off stage. So before it was when, there was a special duet that I used to do, which is in the beginning. It's like it's called The Birds, but it's like 2 royal dancers. And now I really love watching the ballet. It's my favorite part of the whole show. So, and that's the part that I take notes on. So that's my favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Question? Yes.
I don't know if you guys remember, but when was
When was the moment you realized you loved musical theater and that's what you wanted to do?
You know, answer it.
I have a very specific moment. So all through growing up, even though my mom had put me in this, acting class thing in 4th grade, I was always doing music. I was more of a piano player, very shy and quiet. And I always thought I would be like a nurse or something else, even through my childhood up until high school. And then we did a production of, it sounds silly, but it was Bye Bye Birdie in my high school. And I was a sophomore, and I got to play Kim. And I remember going home from the show. My mom, drove me home. I was in my bedroom, and I literally had a Dear Diary moment. And I wrote in my diary, I said, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I was 15, and it was after having done a show. And I feel like I set this, intention for myself that day, and it never has wavered. And I'm really happy that I did that. So I was 15.
That's good. Well, my story is very similar. I was very, very shy as a kid. And I remember doing theater as a kid because it kind of got me out of my head. I was very, very kind of like a very cerebral sort of kid. And I quit theater. I was more of a visual. Went to visual arts, and I was a dancer. That's really how I started. And then in high school, I did 42nd Street. And I just tapped like a maniac. And I was like, this is so cool. I just want to do this for the rest of my life. And that's just kind of how that happened, yeah.
Introduce yourself.
I'm so sorry I'm late.
That's
I
okay.
thought this topic was in the after Tonight Show, but my name is Julius. Hi, everyone.
Hi. And you play?
Oh, I'm in the ensemble, and I'm also the bad guy in the ballet, Simon of Legree. The big mask and the sword. That's who I play.
Good. Wait, we were just all answering the question. When did you first realize you wanted to do musical theater? Was there a specific aha moment?
I remember I started out as a dancer first, and I did community theater. And the very first theater experience I've had was actually playing in The King and I at my local community theater when I was like 12 years old. But I didn't know I wanted to be in musical theater until after I'd left home. And my first job out of high school was at Disney World, and I didn't know where I wanted to go, either LA or New York. And everyone just said, why don't you try musicals? And here I am. So the rest is history.
This departure was nothing personal. She'll be right back, she said. So, and you?
I actually have the opposite side. So I quit dancing, and then I have a bio degree. I love plants, and then I was working at Disney World too, at Epcot in the greenhouses, and I was still taking dance classes just here and there. And then I was like, oh, I'll just try it. I might as well just try it. Like, I'll always regret. I could always do science, forever. And then I worked on cruise ships, and then I was like, oh, I kind of enjoy performing. So then I moved to New York, and then I've just been performing ever since. It's not something that I was like, oh, I want to do it. I just it happened, and I worked out, and yeah.
From photosynthesis to photo shoots, right? Yes. How many weeks or days did it take to prepare The King and I?
We had, was it 4? Yeah. Four total. We had a week of table read with just the principal cast, and then the rest of the ensemble came in, and it was 3 weeks then, right? And then we had a week of tech, so approximately 5, really. It's kind of a nice luxury. Sometimes you put up a show in a week, 10 days. That's crazy town. Yeah, that's crazy town.
Especially with a production this size, it's amazing. Yeah. How many tractor trailers does it take to move the stuff?
We have 7 18-wheeler trucks that transport the show. The boat has its own. The boat has its own tractor, and I think the Buddha does too. Maybe fits in other little things in there, but 7. Yeah,
and then. When you're done here, will that hopscotch to the one, not the next show, but the one after that? Is there 2 groups on the road?
No, we just have one.
Just the one?
One set, yeah. And so We'll do a loadout. So Sunday night, or our last show is Sunday matinee. They will begin loadout. They'll take them about 6 hours, I think, 6 or 7 hours, and then they will immediately start driving to the next location, which is Detroit. So the next morning, the crew will have like slept for maybe 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours fly to the next city, and they'll start their load-in about 3 o'clock Monday. They'll work till midnight. They'll wake up again. They'll start again at around 8 o'clock the next morning, and they'll go straight through to the end of show on
Wow.
Tuesday.
Wow.
So that is their schedule.
That's a haul. The hat, the baseball hat. How long have each of you been with the show, and how long has it been on the road?
Me and Kaven were both there at the rehearsal process in October of 2016. So 18 months. 18 months. And then
This would I mean my second month with the touring production, but I also performed with the show on Broadway back in 2015. Yeah.
Now, when you come in to play a part where the production is already underway, how long does it take you to prepare for that?
I was pretty lucky because I became available, and the person who was playing my role on the road was leaving the show. So it was just a great flip flop. It took me about less 3 days to learn the show,
Whoa.
and my body screaming at me like, "Yes, we're going back here again." And but I think I've caught up. So
Yeah.
and Steph was also the assistant dance captain and helped put me in the show. So thank her.
Okay. There was a question. Okay. Hand in the front. Yes. Were you actually singing, or is it recorded?
I have a small person he's in my costume. And he kind of sings into it. He's like, "We represent." That's, no, we all sing, yeah.
All right, let's go in the middle, right behind the baseball hat. How long does it take to memorize your lines? I guess that depends on how good your mind is.
I have 12 lines,
Welcome back.
so
my childhood.
like a couple hours for those 12. Yeah, and luckily I've known the songs for like years, so that one was like just kind of like, oh yeah, I got this. But yeah, so, I mean, Elena's got you. How many?
Question?
How many?
How
I'm sorry,
long?
I have 2 children at home in New Jersey, and I had to deal with the babysitter. So I'm also a normal person. Sorry about that.
How long did it take you to learn your lines?
Oh, okay. So I joined the cast 2 months ago. I took over for the other leading lady. So I've only been performing the show for 5 weeks now. So this is the beginning of my 6th week. And it took me probably, I would say up until now, to really feel like I understand and I've got all the lines. I kept messing up lines for like the first month because I have so many. So I don't know. It took me a while, but I had to learn it in like 3 weeks. I had to learn it and get on stage within 3 weeks. So that was very fast.
That's a chore.
Yeah.
That's a chore.
It's really, really fast.
Okay, over here. Yes. Why did you choose the King and I as your
Can I answer
vehicle
that?
of performance?
Well, a lot of times we don't just like pick and choose the work. We get work, and we're lucky to have work. So this is the reality of being a theater artist, is that you go where the work is a lot of the time. I mean, as I just mentioned, I have 2 children. I live in a house in New Jersey, but I have a job, and this was a great opportunity, and it also is a show that has a wonderful prestige and legacy, and it's important, and we're very lucky to have been offered this work. That being said, we also work very hard, and we like to think that we're at the top of our game, and so we can sometimes choose the work, but a lot of the times the reality is that there's not enough work to go around. So when you get a job, you take it. When you get offered a job. I mean,
Amen.
does anybody else want to answer that? But I feel like
I think that sounds like it now. I saw some hands in the dark, and there's one straight back, all the way back. One hand still up in the air, right there. Yes. How do you move the pillars?
I believe they're automated. So our stage manager will call a cue, go. and whoever the operator is, we have electricians to press the button and they move to a certain point. It's all
robotic then, basically.
Yeah, it's a robot.
Two people, and there are two people, the stage manager who calls the cue, and then the electrician who also then presses the button. She'll go, electrics go, and then it is a robot that does it. But that's like, three elements, human and robotic.
Interesting. Science involved. Right in the front here. What's your favorite song? Don't say twist and shout. That's
I love when Lunta sings "I Have Dreamed."
You also, I want to hear you sing it.
It's my favorite song.
I like randomly Puzzlement Reprise. I don't know why. It's with Louis and the Prince. It's like really jaunty and fun, and it has a lot of layers to it. I mean, I don't know. It's like a short little snippet, but I like it.
Well, I mean, I really also love the duets that the lovers sing. I think they're just so stunningly beautiful, and I just stand off stage and just like with stars in my eyes, like they're so good. They sound so beautiful, So I those two lovers duets. I Have Dreamed is really, really special to me. It's really pretty.
There's I believe, a young lady who's having difficulty holding her arm up because it's getting tired. What is your question? What was the hardest part of the show for you?
Hardest part.
The hardest part.
Okay, for me, I said I was a dancer first, and then I became a swing, and then for the next, so I sing every day, but when I switched to being a swing, I sang for 8 weeks straight, and I was not used to that, and that was like the most difficult part of it. Like there was a solo, and I had to sing, and I had to play instruments, like the singing wives in the back, and it's just like it was a huge shift for me, and it was very challenging, and it was like a really kind of crazy time as well with sort of the cast and the crew. So that was the hardest part for me. I don't even remember the question anymore. Is that the
Hardest part of the show.
Yeah.
I think what's the hardest part?
For me, physically, the ballet is probably the hardest part for me for the show because there's not a lot of time in between when in between intermission and then putting on your makeup and then putting on the costumes and then going right onto stage. And so the hard part for me is to keep warm throughout the show so you're ready, so you're not pulling any muscles for the ballet, which is basically a sprint for a lot of us. Yeah.
And you do quite a bit of singing.
Yeah.
Me or him?
Both of you. And when you're in a situation like on Thursday when you have both a matinee and an evening performance, that's got to be a little trying on your voice. Or how do you preserve that?
I mean, you become sort of used to preserving your voice when you don't need to use it, and we're all
That's why you're
trained.
here, huh?
Yeah, exactly. No, I love being here, but it's we're trained to use our voices a certain way. We have a lot of voice training.
Yeah. That's obvious.
Yeah, a lot of how to. It's not just the singing part; it's the speaking part. I was going to say that one of the hardest parts for me is yelling in the show because I sing. And you have to be so careful of that. And also, I wear a really big dress, but that's really heavy. Yeah. So what's your hardest part?
Mine's kind of mental. I spend an hour between songs where I'm not on stage, and so to keep both like a track of where I am in the show, like where is Lunta in terms of the chronology of the show, and secondly, like keep my body warm because I go straight from. I literally have like no setup, like I don't have like scenes to warm up my voice a little bit or like kind of keep limber. I just go straight into these big honkin' songs. And the hardest part is actually negotiating the travel because we hit so many different climates and so many different areas of the country. And so like allergies are a big thing for us. And it's just like, oh my God, and climate changes, like like you said,
Like
winter,
this week.
spring, summer, all in half a week. So that's kind of the big one for me, anyway. Yeah.
I'm sorry to say we have time for only one more question. The young lady with the black and white stripes.
That's probably.
Would you repeat the question because I
It's,
didn't quite get it?
You mean like what gave us the idea for the props and the transitions? Okay, well, that really goes to our director, Bartlett Sher. who's an amazing man. Has such a stunning concept of how things look and stage pictures, and I kind of call him like the king of transitions. Like he's all about how scenes flow into each other, how people move. It's phenomenal. He's an incredible person.
I mean, a lot of the props are written into the script, the way that the script is written, and it's just to facilitate, what is already written in the script. Like when he gives me a ring, or the books, and a lot of the things on stage come from the set designer, right? So the set designer will design the blackboard, right, the map, and how that looks, and it's all a craft, right? So creating a set for this show is a craft that is learned, and there are programs in colleges that train people to do that, just like there are programs for directing, where you learn a real craft. You can't just get up and just be like, I'm gonna direct. Like you have to learn how to do it. There's a real craft to it. And I think so much of the time we think, not to discourage you from trying things, but if you really feel inside that you could be a great director, go to school for it. I really, really learn from the people who are the masters, because that's how we pass the real craft and tradition down to the younger generations. And I think it's wildly important for the culture of our country. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but obviously I have a passion for this art form, and it's important for our culture as an American public.
Absolutely.
So.
And education, too.
Education,
Regardless.
education.
Regardless of the field,
Musical
education.
theater is an American art form, and we should be extremely proud of that.
Right.
I'm very proud of it. Sorry.
Well, thank you for very much. I hope the babysitter wasn't asking for a raise right then.
No, God, I hope not.
How about a round of applause for these folks taking time out of their busy schedule? And thank you all very much. Really appreciate you joining us for Theater Talk. I'm Jack Arnicke. Have a good rest of your day.